Now, I want to show this question that was come from a LinkedIn user. Wouldn't weekly reviews be time consuming? Will fortnightly reviews work? Yes, they kind of will. But the thing is that the more frequently you do it, the more you can drive change and action. So it depends on how fast things change in your business. If things change in your business really infrequently, then you can go less often, and fortnightly may be okay. Personally, I think that the way to do this is to do it a little bit more frequently than you think you need to. And the reason is because that drives urgency with the people. It drives urgency with the people trying to do things, right? And make sure that you're getting the right attention on things. And it means that you're much more likely to track things. Now, a lot of businesses default to a monthly review of these things. I think monthly is not enough, because if you're looking with almost any piece of data, even a piece of data that doesn't really change that much, because there's always something that's changing more frequently than that. And if you have a metric that doesn't change, except it only changes monthly, one of the things, and that's an important thing, one of the most important things to do is to spend time thinking about and trying to find something that changes more frequently, so that you can get an early warning about what's going on. Because if it only changes once a month, and it takes you 3 or 4 months to notice a trend, by the time you've noticed the trend, 6 months have passed, and now it's too late to actually really fix things for that year. You've gone way beyond what you need to. So you need to spend that time to dig into what's a metric that does change, right? Why are we looking at this metric? It hasn't changed for a month or 2 months, this one here is all noisy. Why are we looking at it? It's just noise. Spend the time to think about, well, what kind of thing could we be tracking? How could we find something that is useful, and how do we then modify this? Now, in some situations, if you're a product team, for example, product and engineering team, most of those metrics for a pure product, like specifically product development or feature factory type work, if you're unfortunate enough to be in a feature factory, are going to be relatively slow progress, right? If you're in enterprise sales, each sales cycle is quite slow. But then you've got to find the things that do change fast. Like, what's the thing that's changing fast that gives me some indication? With sales, for example, it's more about the number of meetings you're having as opposed to the actual sales. Like the sale outcome for an enterprise sale might be the 3 to 6 month time. But what actions are happening in the meantime, and how do we track those? How can we do things that are going to drive the right outcomes? How can we get the right engagements? Can we increase the number of engagements that we're having with these customers and across the board with these customers, and track that? If we're a software team, sure, we spend a little less time on this. Maybe we spend only 5 minutes in each weekly meeting reviewing our metrics, because what we're looking at is the number of bugs, we're looking at usage, we're looking at uptime. Maybe we don't need to spend that much time on it. That's fine. But at least we've spent some time on it and we looked at it. Now, if it takes that long, if it takes like so long that you can only really have a discussion over 2 hours, and you don't want to do that every week, well, I'd ask the question, how you try and do it frequently enough, like do it every week anyway, but then how do you filter down so you're just getting the important conversations? Like, where is the time going? Where are you losing time discussing things? Because if you're having 2 hours of useful conversation every week, that's good. That's the right thing to be having. Like, are these the right conversations? As I said, so here, that's my point of view. If you need to have a 2 hour every week, do we have 3 hours a week? I mean, I've seen businesses that have 3 hours a week on their business reviews. I have seen businesses on groups that have 10 to 15 minutes reviewing their dashboard and their history, and then have a meeting on the other topics that matter, like the objectives and their projects and so on. But it's more about having that frequency, so you're making sure you're having that conversation on a regular basis, and then monitoring, are these conversations the right conversations to be having? Do we have the right data to drive the right conversations and to get the right information and make the right decisions? All right, I think I've gone a bit over time here. Thanks for the question, really appreciate it. Feel free to drop any questions in the comments. If you're watching this as a replay, drop the questions in the comments below. I will get to them and I'll bring them up in the future session. But otherwise, have a great week.